Welcome, folks. Today I'm going to do my 30-year retrospective analysis on protein, what's actually changed in the last 30 years, as opposed to just hype and marketing and BS. The 5 things that have actually changed. One is the type of protein that you see on the store shelves. When I got into the game 30 years ago, late 90s, my high school job at GNC, you saw lots of different kinds of protein on the store shelves. You saw various beef and meat options, you saw egg options, you saw a lot of the milk options that you still see today, and you had a few vegan options that were still in their relative infancy. Since then, whey has won the protein wars, and that is because it is just hands down the highest quality, most economical protein source that there is to supplement with. The second thing that has changed is who is supplementing with protein. It used to be that there were 2 types of people supplementing with protein, and that was it. You had strength athletes and you had physique athletes. The idea that a non-strength or non-physique athlete, let alone a member of Gen Pop, a non-athlete, would ever supplement with protein was downright foolish. Since then, that has of course changed. Now everybody is supplementing with protein, and that is mostly a positive development. The third thing that has changed is that there is now a lot more emphasis on third-party testing. And I'm not just talking about testing for contaminants, which is of course important, but I'm also talking about testing to ensure that the protein on the label matches what's actually in the bottle. And that came about because of the protein spiking scandals. What was happening is that a lot of protein supplement manufacturers were adding various nitrogen-containing compounds to their protein supplements to fool the protein content tests into thinking that their content was higher than it was. And the reason that worked is because the average protein content test is pretty dumb. It just measures gross nitrogen content, so it's pretty easy to fool. Since then, the Informed Protein third-party testing program has developed a test that measures the exact amino acid profile of the protein, and it's very hard to fool. And if you want to learn more about the Informed Protein third-party testing program, watch my podcast episode with a representative from their program, Andy Holmes. The fourth thing that has changed is that there is now a lot less emphasis on protein timing. There was a book, early 2000s, I want to say 2004, John Ivey, Nutrient Timing, in which he introduced the concept of an anabolic window. And that's where you get the myth of the golden hour, the magical hour after training, in which you have to consume a bunch of protein or you'll lose all your gains. Subsequent research showed that the anabolic window is a lot wider than previously thought. We now refer to it as a garage door. And instead of trying to micro-target magical windows, we now focus on nutrition throughout the day. The fifth thing that has changed is that most of the safety myths have finally been put to bed. Dr. Jose Antonio, he took healthy athletes and fed them obscene amounts of protein for 6 months to a year, and he measured everything. He measured kidney function, liver function, markers of cardiovascular disease, inflammation, bone mineral density, and as much protein as he fed him, nothing moved the needle, nothing increased risk. And his detractors, his doubters came back and said, well, that was only 6 months to a year. What happens if you consume protein for longer? And Dr. Antonio was like, okay, dude, I'll take your bet. So this time he fed athletes obscene amounts of protein for 2 years. And again, he measured everything: liver, kidneys, heart, inflammation, bone mineral density. Nothing moved the needle. Protein is safe to consume for healthy individuals, and anybody who tells you otherwise is full of shit and hasn't read the research. So that is it, folks. That is the 411 on protein. Feltovich Fit, over and out.